Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another match in the Real Beat Stars tournament. Today we're going to be going over IWateh versus Shik and Sammy, a very interesting match, these players being one seed apart. So definitely an interesting match, but we are in the roles now, and Shik and Sammy is going to be going in for the first ban. So definitely an interesting choice, but we're gonna have to see how both these players perform, but kind of looking over these players. I mean, IWateh not being a bad player, but Shik and Sammy being very proficient in terms of LN, especially LN accuracy, and in a pool like this, I could easily see them going for some of these picks. I mean, one thing to note is SV could be a pretty interesting factor in this tournament. So we'll kind of have to see what these players do, but looks like Shik and Sammy with some SP practice, so definitely gonna be interesting to see. I mean, especially considering they perform on qualifiers, but they do opt in for an LN1 protect, which does make sense coming from them at least. And Shik and Sammy went into ban Rice 1, a very interesting ban, but we'll have to see what comes of this. Will be interesting to see if Shik and Sammy is a little, maybe more prone to making mistakes in Rice. But we do see an LN3 ban coming from IWateh, a very interesting one, but we'll have to kind of see how this kind of rolls out. But it is now time to go into the first pick. But it looks like we'll be going into Shik and Sammy's first pick with their Protect off the bat. Very interesting choice. I mean, I would think this map's saved for a little bit later on, especially as this is kind of an opening. Well, we'll kind of have to see how this does turn out. But it is now time to finally get into these matches. But it looks like we'll be slowly getting into this, already getting into our first map. For IWateh to load in. And here we go. Going into this pick, just waiting for the client to load, but looks like some slight issues. Hopefully this will be fixed momentarily. And here we go. As the client slowly catches up. And here we go. Starting off, I mean, Shik and Sammy having really good accuracy already, approaching 99.9 throughout this kind of slower section. Definitely a really good sign for them at least, but we'll have to kind of see how they do go as this map kind of progresses. I mean, IWateh struggling a little bit to hold good accuracy. I mean, on a map like this, it does make sense to kind of see accuracies kind of be all over the place. mean, Chicken Sammy dropping down into that 99.8 slowly, maybe possibly going to that 99.7 range, but IWateh trying to kind of build back up that accuracy that they lost. I mean, right now, I mean, the score lead isn't really that high, only about 4,000, but things could very easily change if a slip-up does happen, but I would say very unlikely in a map like this, where both these players do seem to be fairly comfortable. More so, just the accuracy aspect of this being really tricky. But as we do get into this break section, I mean, the score difference really starting to grow a lot more as we get past this. I mean, Chicken Sammy still holding a 99.8, really strong score, and IWateh kind of dropping down from the accuracy that they did have, leading them to that 99.2 range. But we'll have to kind of see if they are able to kind of build that back up, if we maybe see a slip up from Chicken Sammy. Really hard to tell this early on though. I mean, it does seem like both these players are fairly consistent. I mean, IWateh starting to slowly build up a little bit of accuracy, but Chicken Sammy staying really consistent with 99.84. Definitely does kind of go to show a little bit of kind of a leap in terms of accuracy between these two, but this is a bit of a slower Ellen pick, so we'll kind of have to see how this shapes up for some other picks. But as we are concluding this pick, I mean, I really don't think there's a chance for IWateh to catch up with this much of a lead, but maybe they'll be able to kind of change it around for the next pick. But with this pick, it is now time for IWateh to choose, and we'll have to kind of see what they decide to choose for their next map. I mean, Chicken Sammy with a 995 on a map like this is pretty scary, just in general. I mean, only one grade. And IWateh not doing too bad themselves, just a lot more of a kind of difference between the two, but always time to kind of go over and see what he is going to protect. I mean, pick. I mean, seeing a ban on Rice 1, I mean, Rice 5 could potentially be a good pick, or maybe something like Rice 3. It is very hard to kind of tell this early on what each other's weaknesses might be. But we are going to see Rice 5 being put in play here. I'd say a pretty good pick considering the bans. We'll have to see if maybe Rice kind of turns around and goes to IWateh. It is too early. Well, we'll see. But here we go, so we're getting into this next pick. We'll have to see if IWateh can redeem themselves from that last pick and get the point here. A very crucial pick, just because, I mean, it is their first pick. A lot of risk is here. I mean, it is first to 4, so it's not like they can afford to have a lot of mistakes. But here we go. I mean, IWateh having a little bit of a lower accuracy compared to the Chicken Sammy, but I mean, both the accuracies are starting to kind of lower just a little bit. It's still fairly close, and it is very early on. I mean, Chicken Sammy starting to kind of really go down below IWateh. IWateh staying fairly consistent, starting to build up a little bit of the accuracy as well. A very good sign for them, at least this early on, but we'll see how it goes, especially as the map kind of builds up in density and starts to kind of become more so consistency. Some density areas, I mean, both these players kind of trading their accuracies back and forth. Really hard to tell who is winning this one. I mean, especially when the accuracies are going up and down between these two. I mean, it's almost as if they are trading perfects with each other. But here we are. I mean, a very, very small lead from IWateh so far. Only a 150-ish difference. To get into here, I mean, a 277 difference, still a really major one. Any mistake is going to be major for these players. So it's not that they can really afford to make up any slip-ups, and it does look like IWateh kind of slipping up a little bit in terms of accuracy, which is going to kind of push that lead more towards Chick and Sammy. But I mean, as we see, I mean, these players kind of going back and forth in terms of their accuracy. I mean, Chick and Sammy starting to build up that accuracy just a little bit. I mean, IWateh starting to drop down a little bit. I mean, you start to see these players really start to separate just a little bit, even if it might not seem like a lot. I mean, it definitely can be in a match like this. I mean, less than 1,000 lead is definitely really small, but one break can probably turn that around as well. And both these players have been really consistent, so it's only a matter of seeing who will slip up, or if both these players will just stay extremely consistent. I mean, IWateh's gonna have to really perform to their best of their ability if they want to be able to get this point. I mean, especially with these kind of trilly and kind of split streams. I mean, you see here, 725 difference. But we'll have to see. Both these players just being really consistent. It's only a matter of these kind of more trickier streams just ruining their accuracies. I mean, Chick and Sammy's really starting to kind of go down in accuracy compared to what we've been seeing. So this could potentially be an area where IWateh could potentially make a comeback, especially with this ending. But they are dropping down in terms of accuracy as well. And with this ending here, I don't know if there's a chance for them to make a comeback, unless we see a miss coming from Chick and Sammy, but it is most very unlikely. Yeah, if we get through this ending, it does look like it is going to go towards Chick and Sammy. A very, very close one as well. I mean, a 1,300 point difference. I mean, despite the ratio, I mean, that's still a very close one, but it does look like we'll be going into SV1, or SV pick. A pretty interesting choice, considering Chick and Sammy's score in qualifiers, but we'll have to kind of see how this does go. But here we go, we are getting into this SV pick now. Chick and Sammy going with Hidden, very interesting choice, but we'll kind of have to see how this does play out. I mean, starting off, they're doing very bad compared to some of their other scores. But we'll see how this turns out. I mean, IWateh was a huge lead, at 99.99 still. But after they get into a little bit of a more intense section, I mean, you do see a huge disparity in terms of score. I mean, IWateh holding a very, very big lead. Chicken Sammy failing, it seems. What I have to do, wait for this next pick. I mean, looking at the picks, I mean, a lot of these picks do feel really safe for Chicken Sammy, especially with the ratio difference. It would be kind of same, but IWateh going for RST, a very interesting pick. I mean, it is a bit on the simpler side, so they could potentially be trying to go for a more simpler map in hopes that they can out-ratio Chicken Sammy, but it is going to be interesting to see if that is possible, especially with how Rice 5 did go. But here we go, going into this next pick. I mean, it does look more in favor of Chicken Sammy, especially with the ratio that we've been seeing. But we'll have to see, maybe if we see a slip up coming from Chicken Sammy. I mean, starting off really rough. IWateh with a pretty small lead already. I mean, this does look like a really good pick coming from IWateh. I mean, a mid 99.9 versus a mid 99.8. A small kind of act difference, but it can mean a lot, especially with this match. I mean, these people are really close in terms of seeding. I'm Chicken Sammy slowly catching up, but I don't even know how this can go, especially as we do get into a little bit of a denser section. I mean, both these players could start to kind of lower in terms of accuracy. I mean, we see IWateh start to lower a little bit. Chicken Sammy still staying very consistent, but it does look like it might be going to IWateh for now. But here we go, as we do get into a bit of a more denser section. We'll have to kind of see if IWateh does slip up, but so far it does look very much in favor of them. And Chicken Sammy's slowly starting to build up in terms of accuracy, especially with that kind of slip up that we did see in the beginning. Even if it was just a few perfects, those few perfects could mean so much. Chicken Sammy building up into that 99.9 range. IWateh's got to be very careful to not make up any more mistakes and to kind of just keep building that accuracy up if possible. It does look very much in favor of IWateh, even just a little bit, and it will be going to IWateh, a very, very small difference, only by 318. That ratio from both these players being so close. But I mean, it is Chicken Sammy's pick now, and they're gonna go for Ellen too. I mean, it makes a lot of sense seeing kind of how things have been going. But here we go, going into LN2, or density pick. I mean, it does look very much in favor of Chicken Sammy, especially with what we've been seeing within LN1. I mean, we did see IWateh struggle just a little bit in terms of the accuracy side. But here we go, moving on to this pick now. Gonna have to see how both these players do. I mean, they've been staying fairly consistent, so it's really hard to kind of expect either of them to kind of slip up in the matter of kind of getting a miss. But what we've been seeing from Chicken Sammy, I mean, it's possible for them to slip up very early on in terms of accuracy. I mean, you kind of see it right now here. I mean, IWateh was kind of a small lead, but things are going to shift very drastically as we do get into this Ellen section. It's definitely going to favor Chicken Sammy a lot more. I mean, we start to see it already. The lead's starting to grow a lot more, especially compared to a map like we've seen last time. I mean, so far the accuracy difference being quite a little bit bigger compared to a lot of these other maps, but it doesn't look as bad as LN1. So there could still be a chance for IWateh to potentially get this point. But if we do get on with this map, I mean, both these players trying to build up their accuracy a lot more, especially as we are kind of simpler areas within the map. I mean, IWateh trying to build up to that 99.5, while Chicken Sammy trying to build up even more further through that 99.7 range. I mean, both these players just really flickering between their percentages. IWateh getting a miss though, it's definitely not going to help them at all, especially with this kind of lead that Chicken Sammy has. I mean, if Chicken Sammy were to even mess up, it's not really going to go towards IWateh, especially with the accuracy difference. But I don't even think that miss is going to matter so much for IWateh. I mean, especially with the lead that we've been seeing from Chicken Sammy. Yeah, we'll be going to Chicken Sammy with a 991.5, so pretty decent. I mean, 991, but I mean, 4 grades coming from Chicken Sammy. I mean, it definitely kind of goes to show the kind of difficulty of this map. But it is now IWateh's pick. I mean, it is their final pick. And going for Rice 4. Kind of interesting pick, but I could definitely see the reasoning for this. I mean, this map being somewhat similar to Rice 2. I mean, if IWateh is trying to focus on the ratio aspect, this map could be a really good choice. we'll have to see. I mean, a map like this, IWateh potentially has a little bit of an advantage on, but we'll have to see, especially with some of the patterning in this map. It could be fairly tricky for both players. I mean, one player might mess up just a little bit. But here we go, moving on to this pick. IWateh dropping a few perfects already, but Chicken Sammy really kind of taking a little bit of a hit. But we'll have to see if they're kind of able to build that back up. I mean, still, despite all of this, the accuracy is being so close. I mean, it's shifting between these two players. If IWateh is just able to keep the consistency he has and just keep hacking his way through this, he might be able to get this point, bring it to tiebreaker. But as we are building up into the more intense section, we'll have to see how this does go. But here we go. Still slight lead coming from IWateh. He's going to have to really hold his consistency in order to kind of win this point. It's not going to be easy by any means, especially with all these breakdowns coming in. And a miss coming from IWateh very early. Oh, it is a client one though. So luckily he's not going to be missing. I mean, that miss would have been detrimental. Here we go. They are getting into a bit of a more intense section. These players are going to have to really focus on the ratio. But it looks like Chicken Sammy taking a bit of a bigger hit. IWateh trying to drop down a little bit more accuracy compared to Chicken Sammy. Both players trying to build it up a little bit more. We'll have to see if any of them do slip up though. I mean, if IWateh can somewhat hold this consistency, he might be able to climb his way back up and potentially get that lead back. And if they're getting through this, it's still so close. It's way too early to say anything, especially as IWateh is climbing back up a lot more. I mean, if he could climb back into that 99.87, he might be able to get this point back, dropping down just by 0.01%. Getting into this ending, it does look very unlikely for the point to kind of go back. It might be over for IWateh. And just like that, a 608 point difference. I mean, definitely something to be really afraid of. I mean, IWateh only losing just because of a great and one perfect. I mean, definitely really scary territory to just be in general. I mean, if this is what we're seeing from a match like this, I mean, we might have to be a little bit afraid of some of these other matches, but with that, Chicken Sammy will be moving on into the winners round of 16. IWateh moving down into losers round of 16. Definitely going to be a very scary opponent to kind of see. But that does conclude this match. And that does kind of conclude the recap. I mean, another match happening fairly soon. Well, with that, I'm your commentator and streamer Znow, and I'll be seeing you next time.